Yahi Tribe. They were the southernmost portion of the Yana, a Native American group indigenous to Northern California. They were made up of mostly basket weavers, storytellers, and hunters who fiercely defended their mountainous territory. However, in the mid-19th century, they were hit with a drastic and tragic decline that started with the California gold rush. You see, the Yahi lands were closest to the gold fields, and due to the land exploration, they suffered population loss through diseases, the armed white settlers, and genocide from the armed white settlers. Following this event, the population was reduced to a measly 100, which remains almost untraceable today. Asmat Tribe, a traditional tribe that hailed from the swamps and rainforests of the southwestern New Guinea in Indonesia. They are brave warriors who are also famous for their intricate woodwork. In fact, their art is globally recognized, and they were gradually advancing until the 20th century when their existence became threatened by cultural disruption. You see, the Dutch colonial masters that landed on the shores of the Asmat tribe didn't just arrive with the agenda to take over their lands, but also to discard their traditions and install new ones. Coupled with this, missionaries also came on board to help the Asmat people by civilizing them, thus forcing them to disregard and abandon their cultural heritage. So, even though the people of Asmat still exist, their rich culture, which defined them as a unique people, is already eroded and abandoned. Huli Tribe. They are native to the highlands of Papua New Guinea. They have lived for over 1,000 years in the rugged mountain region of the Tari Basin and are easily recognized by their striking appearance, which is mostly in elaborate wigs covered in feathers and colorful decorations and striking face paintings. They are also mainly farmers who planted potatoes and reared pigs and lived peaceably among themselves until external threats began to infiltrate their peaceful existence. The introduction of Western culture by modern influences and government policies broke their cultural bonds, and other elements like land disputes and resource exploration reduced their small community to almost nothing. Xavante Tribe. The Xavante people are native to the central Brazilian savannas and originated from the region of Mato Grosso. They have lived for many centuries as skilled hunters, farmers, and gatherers and dwelt peaceably in their rural savanna lands. However, the mid-20th century brought disruption and chaos to their peace when their open savannas were bamboozled by land speculators and heavy bulldozers, all in the name of agricultural expansion by the Brazilian government. The government claimed their lands and began to cut down every tree in the forest, forcing the displacement of the Xavantes to external lands where they could claim no relevance or gather themselves as people. It was in this way they lost their culture, lands, and recognition as a tribe. Botak Tribe, a unique group that originated from the remote parts of Borneo. They dwelt in the rainforests of Southeast Asia and lived a simple life where all they did was hunt, farm on a small scale, and maintain a happy life with the bit they had. Unknown to them, the life they so treasured was soon going to be taken away from them. Some logging and palm oil companies began to search for expansion, and they landed on the shores of the Botak and started felling their trees. As the trees fell, so did the culture of the Botak. They were eventually forced out of their lands and displaced to urban areas where they struggled to cope with the new way of life, but soon had to learn to survive at the painful cost of their originality. We scarcely hear about them today. Simu Tribe, a once-upon-a-time flourishing tribe that has now been kept in shambles. They occupied the lush highlands of Southeast Asia and were all over the mountains and valleys. They mainly cultivated rice and vegetables and had music and storytelling for recreation and leisure. However, their balanced life was tampered with by heavy machinery, which the Europeans introduced to them in a bid to help them modernize farming and also construct modern infrastructures. Alongside the Western help came a foreign culture that soon displaced the ones they had, and they rapidly began to lose their nativity. Aghori Tribe, a small-sized group of Shaiva sadhists from Varanasi, India. This set of people originated from the tradition of Hinduism, but they are even more peculiar because of some unconventional practices among them. They really can be weird with some of the things they do. For example, they believe that no stage of life should be ignored, including death and decomposition of dead bodies. They often meditate on cremation grounds and use human skulls in their ceremonies. Even though they claimed the linkage to Hinduism, their culture over a long time proved otherwise, and they were adamant about changing their ways. This kept alienating them from modern and broader society. They soon became isolated and lost touch with the present realities in the world. Yaghan Tribe. You can also call them the Yamana Tribe. They originated from the southernmost part of South America, mainly in Tierra del Fuego, Chile, and Argentina. Their habitation is quite a cold one, so much so that you could die of cold if you are not acclimatized to the region. These people build canoes and fish during the day while they hunt in the woods at night. Their humble coexistence faced turbulence in the late 19th century when European settlers arrived on their lands with an agenda of civilization to better their lives. Only if they knew that their culture and lands were going to be taken away from them would they have fought the Europeans on sight. It was only a matter of time before the Yaghan Tribe was displaced from their homes, coupled with the foreign diseases they had to deal with. Today, the Yaghan Tribe has become somewhat of a place in the history books. Innu Tribe, a group of nomadic people native to eastern Canada, mainly Labrador and Quebec. Their major occupation is hunting fish and caribou and gathering berries. The Innu people were known for being traditional, and they protected their culture at all costs. Well, they did a good job with that before the Canadian government offered to help them in the mid-1900s. Apparently, the so-called help was the beginning of the eradication of the Innu Tribe. The Canadian government brought up a plan to convince the Innu Tribe to migrate to what they called permanent villages. However, the condition of the new environment was so poor that diseases, unemployment, and social unrest became the order of the day. So the Innu Tribe abandoned their natural habitat for greener pastures, which later turned out to be their channel into extinction. Jwa Tribe. The Jwa Tribe is an unpopular indigenous group dwelling in the remote parts of Southeast Asia, particularly in Burma and India. They have never been a strong force, but their profound knowledge of the local flora and fauna, which they use for food and medicine, their native tattooing, storytelling, and music, and also their homogeneous and communal lifestyle, remain their unique traits. As a matter of fact, an injury to any one of them is seen as an injury to all. So be careful not to hurt a Jwa indigene. Their lack of population, however, soon affected them when government policies and encroachment by modern development, including deforestation, altered their existence. They were forced out of their lands and their culture was left unpreserved till today. Kogi Tribe, a people indigenous to the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in Colombia, and descendants of the ancient Tairona civilization. They're fond of referring to themselves as the Elder Brothers, while the rest of the world is their younger ones who have lost their ways. They mostly occupied the secluded mountainsides and maintained a low lifestyle. Their ordeals started with the intrusion of modern civilization, which disturbed their already established culture with the introduction of many foreign practices. Things got worse when drug barons saw their region as a favorable location for trafficking their illicit substances. Then, later on, deforestation and mining activities added to their troubles and eroded their culture till today. Sentinel Tribe, residing on the North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Sea, have been in existence for thousands of years and are one of the most mysterious groups of people known to the human race. These guys have managed to maintain the cultural standards passed down to them by their ancestors, not changing a bit. They live as hunter-gatherers. The unique thing about the Sentinel Tribe is their resistance to anything that can bring a change to them, probably because of the different cases of other tribes losing their lands and culture to foreign Western infiltrates. This tribe adamantly refused any encroachment on their lands, fighting them off with their lives. After a long while of trying and trying again, it seems the rest of the world has abandoned these ones and left them isolated to their world and culture till today.